Hey everyone, Jello Grayson here and welcome to a new tutorial video. For today, we are going to be learning how to apply chrome metallic leatherette onto EVA foam, just like these two projects behind me. So over here, I have my Arthur Pendragon prototype chest piece, which I made out of EVA foam and the chrome metallic leatherette. While over here, this is the Artoria Pendragon Lancer, which I also made out of EVA foam and chrome leatherette. So I've been working on this armor for quite some time. And both of these characters are from the game Fate Grand Order. For today's demonstration, I will be using this beautiful chrome leatherette that I bought from my local shoe supply store. And the fun part is that they come in many different colors, just like this metallic gold over here. It's very, very beautiful. And this gunmetal shade, which is very good for darker armor pieces. Sadly, I still haven't found a reliable source for this online for you guys outside the Philippines, but once I find one, I'll put it in the description below. Just a really quick note though, this is different from the metallic vinyl wrap that you see over here. This has an adhesive backing, as you can see, while the leathers that you have over here have a cloth canvas backing. I once tried wrapping foam pieces using this stuff, and to be honest, it was actually very difficult to iron out all of the wrinkles and bubbles. After that, I had experiences where the vinyl would actually lift up on the sides due to mostly friction or heat or other factors. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I would recommend it for harder props just like swords, just like... Hold on, let me get it. Ha! I have a tutorial on how to create this sword, and especially I go into detail on how to wrap this thing up. Okay? So I'll be linking it up over there. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. To illustrate my process, I'll be making the waist area of the Artoria armor. I started by making paper templates using scratch paper, and I more or less eyeballed these templates and put them together using tape. The next step is to transfer these templates onto 3mm EVA foam. As you can see, I'm using a silver pen so that it shows up in the black. I then cut these parts out using my trusty X-Acto blade. Here's a quick tip. I use this kitchen knife honer to keep my blades sharp and make sure they last longer. After cutting all these parts, I traced the outline at the back of the chrome leather using a Sharpie. I actually made a mistake on the first two parts, but for the rest, I made sure to leave at least 2 cm allowance for each of the outlines to give room for me to fold the leather into the parts. More on that later on. Admittedly, I should have laid out the parts first before tracing them, but oh well, we learn as we go. For the next few steps, we'll be using contact cement, so I made sure to wear a respirator for this process. I applied a thin layer of cement onto the front side of the foam parts and spread it using a scrap piece of EVA foam. As you can see, I simply scraped the excess onto the back of the leather because in the next step, we'll spread some more onto it anyway. I also used the excess cement to spread onto the other foam parts to save on adhesive too. After that, I spread a layer of cement onto the back of the leather so that the pieces have something to stick to. It's important to make sure that the glue is spread evenly so we don't get any bumps on the leather surface later on. I let both the leather and the foam parts dry for around 10 minutes. At this point, it's just a matter of sticking all of the pieces onto the outlines I made earlier. Before proceeding to the next step, I used a scrap piece of PVC pipe as a rolling pin just to make sure all the parts are properly adhered to the leather. I did that on both sides just for good measure. I added the last layer of contact cement onto the back of the parts. This will keep all the flaps, which we'll make later, securely wrapped. I also made sure that the 2 cm margin we made earlier was spread with enough adhesive as well. I let that dry for another 10 minutes and it was time to cut all the pieces out with my X-Acto blade. I made sure to keep that 2 cm margin for the next step. For the curved areas like this, I cut slats so that when I fold the edges inward, it follows the shape of the part. I then folded all of the edges into the piece to finish the part off. Now, all that's left to do is to repeat this process on all of the parts one by one. This is definitely one of the most time-consuming parts of the build, so you gotta be patient and work through it. The last thing we need to do is to put the armor together. I started by sanding all of the edges with 150 grit sandpaper. This step ensures that the glue has something to grip on, since gluing smooth leather on smooth leather might cause the bond to break further in the part's life. For my adhesive, I used Greco's 888 Cyanoacrilate glue. Think of it as super glue on steroids. It's usually used for industrial shoe manufacturing, but it works perfectly for cosplay crafting. I have included the Shopee link in the description if you want to buy one for yourself. To glue the parts together, I just add a tiny bead of glue onto the seams, and capillary action allows it to fill the rest of the seam. You'll have to be very careful during this process, since too much glue might result in adhesive running into the chrome and ruining the finish. Trust me, it's happened so many times on my projects. There's quite a lot to glue, so again, patience is key. And there we have it. Here's the finished waist armor. It's quite the involved process, being a lot more complicated than just painting it, but in the end, all the effort is definitely worth it. Alright, that about wraps it up for today's episode. Just a really quick tip. You can actually use the same technique using other leatherettes and other textures as well. So try to experiment and see what works best for you. And if you find something new and discover something really cool and you would like to share it to other people, you can comment it down on the description below. If you want some more cosplay crafting content and you would like to learn even more, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified the moment I upload these videos. I plan to keep making these tutorial videos in the next few months, so stay tuned for the next one. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone, and I'll be seeing you. Take care, y'all, and stay crafty. Bye!